African coast. Oh, here we go. We're off. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the second session today in Powerful Brands. We're here today with Alexander Novikov. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Right, I got it right. From Way Boutique, which is a boutique agency, I would imagine, in London.
Yep.
And you just told me you're an author. You showed me your book. Can you show it to me again? It's a brilliant book with the back cover by Seth Godin, I understand.
Yeah.
Not Another Pair of Shoes. Brilliant. Absolutely delightful to meet you. We've been chatting. You're in London. I'm in Paris. You're a Cypriot, Greek Cypriot, who moved to Paris, to London, sorry, 8 or 9 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Tell us a little bit more.
I love it since over there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
you love London.
Huh?
You love
I love
London.
London. It's an amazing city. I mean, so diverse. Everybody tells that, but there's just something about the city that I just love. The culture. And yeah, I was born in Russia, an ex-USSR country, and I moved to Cyprus when I was very young. I grew up in Cyprus, and then I came for a conference one day in 2013. Then yeah, I was like, wow, I need to move here. So I moved, and I've been here since then.
Absolutely brilliant. And today you're talking about stand out by building a purpose-driven brand. For everybody watching, welcome. We've got almost 100 people watching right now. If you've got any questions, I hope you do. Pop them in the Q&A. We're going to have 5 or 10 minutes at the end to answer your questions. Alexander knows all about standing out by building a purpose-driven brand. I'm really interested. I'm actually hosting this track because I wanted to learn about this. I'm the brand SERP guy. I do brand SERPs, but I don't know enough about branding. So that's why I'm here. So I'm really interested to hear what you've got to say. If anybody wants to rewatch this presentation, there will be recordings that will be sent to you afterwards. Once again, pop your questions in the Q&A. And Alexandra, if you'd like to share your screen, you can take it away and I will be quiet for 35 minutes.
Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate the introduction. Let me share the screen. Right.
Brilliant. Good luck.
Thank you. Jason, again, thank you so much for the introduction. As Jason mentioned, I'll talk about how we can stand out by building a purpose-driven brand. I think it's really important to identify what a purpose-driven brand is. Today, I'll share a couple of stories really, and the importance of building a brand that has a purpose. Because there's a huge difference between a brand with purpose and a brand without purpose. I'll start with a short story about myself, how I ended up in London. I was born in ex-USSR country. My mom moved to Cyprus when I was very young, and I followed her. Not by myself, obviously, as a baby, but I followed. I went to Cyprus and I tried to fit in. I tried to fit in so badly because obviously I didn't know Greek. My English wasn't that good. And as you know how kids are, they usually make fun of accents and surnames and all that stuff. So I was very insecure. But throughout the years, at some point, I fitted in. I succeeded in some way by learning Greek, becoming Greek Cypriot. So I fitted in. And then 8 years ago, I moved to London, and it was really the same story, just a different age. I tried to fit in the culture. I tried to be more British. But what I didn't realize back then, which I understood after a lot of therapy sessions, a lot of work on myself, that you don't need to fit in. You need to be who you are. And I know it's cliche. It's like, be who you are and be authentic. But we can say that advice. It's easy to say, but it's really hard to really understand and stand up for something that we believe in. And if what I was really, it's just another brick in the wall. I tried to fit in. I tried to be like everyone else. Really, it wasn't. I wasn't myself. It wasn't Alexander's. This is the guy. He came from Cyprus, whatever. It was trying to please everyone and fit in. But then at some point it clicked. I just said, wow, I need to be myself. And one of the things that I learned, that if we want to be different, we have to be memorable, right? So we are memorable when we are different. And how do we become memorable is by doing extraordinary things. And by extraordinary things, I don't mean necessarily, you have to climb Mount Everest or jump out of an airplane. If you do like it, please do. but we can do extraordinary things by doing small little things. But how do we do extraordinary things? That's the question. Is like, what do I do? How do I do it in my company? Well, it comes down to values. We all have different values. We all um, live by our values, and there are three important rules that we need to follow. Well, companies need to follow if they want to become memorable, to differentiate, and to become a purpose-driven brand. Now, we can think about being a purpose-driven brand by just adding a logo, or not a logo, a slogan, or saying that, what, I'm a purpose-driven brand and I believe in this. Or, it's not about saying, it's doing it at the same time. So the first thing, we need to get clear on our values. What do you value most? The second thing is use creativity to tell your story. Like, rather than just saying or communicating a message, we need to add creativity. And I'll share a couple of examples, how certain companies, they use creativity, they tell their stories in a creative way. And third is take action. So the first one is get clear on your values. What do I mean by that? We all have different values, but in a brand, for a purpose-driven brand, we need to choose one value that we care most about, and that value needs to be the same. It needs to align with our company, because you might say, oh, I believe in this, I believe in that, I believe in that, but it all goes down into your brand. So why did the question is, why did you start your company? And if you want to dig a bit deeper, it's like, okay, I started this company to help ABC, or I'm the marketing manager of this company because of this and this and that. So getting clear on your values is something that will take time. It might take a month, it might take 2 weeks, but you get clear on your values by asking different questions. We're selling this product or service, so why are we selling this product? What change do you want to make? Like, think of it, you're selling coffee, let's say, right? So by selling this coffee, how do we improve our customers' lives? By selling the shoes, how do we improve our customers' lives? Like, it's always, how I think about it is, it's always how are we changing, what kind of impact are we making? And some stories from entrepreneurs, from businesses, they found a problem and they said, okay, I'm going to fix this problem by ABC. Now there's a question that you can ask yourself now. You don't need to answer, obviously, but if you think about that question, the following question, you understand what I mean by get clear on your values. So, would you rob a bank if nobody knew? It's an interesting question. Like, if nobody knew, would you rob a bank? And you all answered to yourselves now. Some people said yes, some people said no. But that's how you get clear on your values, by answering and being authentic to yourself, by saying, you know what, I would never rob a bank if nobody knew, or I would. There's no right or wrong in reality. It's basically understanding what you stand up for, and that's, I believe, the most important thing. um the second use creativity The second point is use creativity to tell your story. So many times, and if you look around on the high street, on the internet, there's so many messages, there's so many campaigns that are just dry. They don't have passion, they don't have creativity. But creativity is so important to communicate, and to break the ice, to be more authentic, really. So you can use people say, yeah, use creativity is the answer to everything. But how do we use creativity? Well, we by creating creative briefs, which I'll share with you 3 insights on how we can create a creative brief later. But the whole concept is understanding the importance of using creativity and the importance of creating a brief. Before, I thought creativity is something that comes up to you just by sitting down and thinking, oh, I need to promote this campaign, and creativity will just strike. Or go to by the seaside and write my book. And actually, when I was writing my book, I was like, always, oh, I don't know what to write about. But then once you sit down and once you have a framework, it's so much easier. So for me, using creativity to tell a story, we just need to sit down, have a framework, ask the right questions, and then we'll come up with creative campaigns, because that's how creativity really works. It's asking the right question, having insight, and basically brainstorming ideas for your brand. Now, there's a difference between using something creative that doesn't align with your brand, and that's why I believe like brand purpose needs to be, what's your brand purpose? So you start with your brand story, and then you start thinking creatively, how do I communicate that, not the other way around. Because sometimes companies, people will say, okay, let me think of a creative campaign, but then it doesn't align with your brand purpose. Like, why are you talking about cats and dogs, right? It makes no sense. Because the owner or the marketing director might say, oh, because of I like cats and dogs. Well, what's your brand story? And then, well, my brand story is, I started this company in 18 whatever. It's like, there's no alignment, which alignment is the most important thing. And one of a great campaign, a great company that does uses creativity very well is an app called Thursday. Now, I don't know if you're familiar. If you're single and if you're in London, you might be familiar with the app called Thursday. Basically, it works once a week, only on Thursday. Actually, it's today. And they use creativity in a really engaging way. So this is a picture of Jess. She's the creative lead at Thursday. And what she did, she took out, obviously, you can see the sofa, two chairs, and she said, "Go dumped. Hey, dating apps, have 5 minutes, take a seat." And they're all their creative, their all campaigns go like not viral, but most of them have a very good response rate, because they use creativity. It's dating. They only work the app only works once per week, and they run events every Thursday. For example, like today, they might have like 4 places that you can go, and you find like single people in bars. Last week they had a running event, so there were like I think 40 or 50 people. They went to the park and they run 5K. So they're using creativity to drive downloads to their app, to drive awareness, and obviously that equals sales. And they have many examples of how they use creativity. Another example is this. You see that it doesn't cost much, because sometimes companies think, oh, it costs so much to use. I don't have the Apple budget or Nike budget, but in reality, we don't need to have an Apple budget or a Nike budget. We can think of how we can use things creatively, like this post here. I don't know if they were standing all day there with the balloons, but it's fun. People engage with them, and their whole brand is fun, and that's what Thursday, the dating app, is. And in this industry, you have Bumble, you have Tinder, you have all these apps that compete for attention, and their whole mentality is just we just work once per week, and we actually don't care about dating apps. We want you to meet. And the idea behind all their work, all their creative campaigns is like they want to embarrass in a way themselves, but in a good way. And it looks like it works, right? It's a great app, by the way, and just it shows as an example of how they use creativity in a great way. The third is take actions. Take action. So we can speak all day about brand purpose. We can speak, oh, I like this idea, I like that idea, but we don't take action. The most important thing, once we are clear on our values, what we stand for, once we figure out a campaign, a creative campaign, then we have to take action. Because so many times I see and I meet people that like, yeah, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, but if we don't put it in the calendar, it will never happen. Like, I always tell to myself and to clients, like, we need to schedule this in. Okay, we have this idea, and the best thing like that works for me, okay, let's schedule a shoot in a month. And then we have a month, we have 4 weeks, we have 30 days to come up with a campaign based on, obviously, on your story, on your brand purpose. So one of the most important things is to take actions. And a great example, last year, not a year before, I've never run more than 10K, 10 kilometers. I was a casual runner, running 5K every single 2 days, casually. And then at some point, I read a book by David Goggins, and I was like, okay, Sunday usually was my like long runs. So I used to run 10K to Hampstead Heath and back to King's Cross. And one day I was listening to the book, and he was like, "Oh, you should, push yourself, blah blah blah." I was like, "I can run 12K." So I ran on that day. I ran like 15K. I ran much more. And then as I was pushing myself, I saw an advert on social about the London to Brighton ultra marathon run. I was like, "That's 100 kilometers. Like, so you must be crazy to run 100K non-stop." And I listened to the book during that time, and I decided to sign up. And I signed up. I don't know what I thought at the time, but I was inspired. Obviously, once you read a book, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. So I signed up to this event. It was from London. You start in London, Richmond Park, and you run to Brighton. So that's 100 kilometers. They have obviously every 25 kilometers water stops, or a medic and a medic if you need, obviously, if something happens. And then at 50K you can stop and eat. So I signed up. It was in May 28th of May last year. I worked with a coach, and I started training for my ultra marathon. And I always say there were days that obviously, you're tired, you don't want to go for a run, especially the long runs. The long runs are 50K. And anyway, I trained, and every time when I didn't want to run, I always said, just take one step, just run this kilometer, just 1 kilometer, and that's it. If you're tired, you go back, which never obviously happened. But it just reminded me to take action towards 1 kilometer at a time. You don't need to focus on 100 kilometers or 50 kilometers, or whatever the end goal in business, for example. You don't need to focus on 100 clients, just focus on one client, really. So I May came. I was ready, but when I came to the event to start running, something happened. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm in Richmond Park, and I have to run until Brighton." And I fundraised money for Dogs Trust. Now, Dogs Trust is a great charity. They help abandoned dogs in the UK. I'm a huge animal lover, and obviously, I fundraised around £700. And I was like, wow, there are people that donated to the cause, and I need to run this. But inside, I was like, when you do something, you say, yeah, I'll do this. But when the day comes, you're like, oh shit, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. And I was like, okay, just run to the first stop. The first stop was in 20 or 25 kilometers, the water stop. So just run the first stop, just do the first 5K, warm up, listen to a podcast, and it will be fine. Anyway, I started running. Obviously I ran 50K. I didn't get injured, but my legs were hurting. I started the second part, and slowly I got to 60K, 70K, and then I finished. I finished in 13 hours and 31 minutes. I was over the moon. But the point of the story is taking action, right? And when I was at 70 kilometers and 75 kilometers and 80 kilometers, it was getting dark. I was by myself, because as you progress, more and more people, they stop, they get injured, they retire, as they call them in ultra. I reminded myself of the purpose, like, why am I running this? And I reminded myself that people donated to this cause, and I want to help. I'm part of this cause. I want to finish. I need to finish. It reminded me every time when I didn't want, and my legs were like, oh my god, especially the heels. It's like, oh my god, I don't want to run this. It's like, no, Alex, you have to run one more kilometer, just one more kilometer, and then you see how it goes. And then 90 kilometers in, I knew 10 were left. It was freaking dark. I was scared because there were no lights, and you weren't running on highways, on a highway, and there were foxes. I just said, just run, and I was running, and I finished the race. But the whole point that I learned, the lesson that I learned, is just take one step at a time and take action. And that's why the most important question that we can ask is, what do you stand up for? Like, what is the most important cause for you? What do you want to be to stand up for, even if people are against? There's a brand test that we can do now to see if we can figure this out. So you have 4 buildings. So let's imagine you have on one building you have, let's say, Apple logo, and there are 4 hotels. Let's say we're opening 4 hotels next year, and these 4 brands are telling us that we're going to open a hotel. Apple hotel, then we have, let's say, Nike hotel, then we have Starbucks hotel, and then we have who else? Lacoste hotel, right? So we have 4 companies that are not in the hospitality industry are telling us they're going to open a hotel. In the chat box, can you write, who do you think is, like, we know that we know certain brands, right? So who do you think, what we can expect from a certain brand, and who do you think is the closest brand that will come close to showing us what we expected? So for example, if Lacoste open, you might say, oh, okay, this hotel will be ABC. If Apple open a hotel, this hotel will be like that. Who do you think will be the closest that will say, yeah, this is what I imagined? Just write in the chat box out of curiosity to see who do you think will be the most closest to what people, consumers would guess. Just take a minute and just write in the chat. It's on the right hand side. um like for me, like I would expect, for example, Apple, let's say, to be a certain type of hotel, right? Like I know that they will deliver on what they promised. So okay, is there, are you writing? No. Okay, I agree. Nike, Apple, Nike. Okay, yeah, we know the reason why, and I'm not surprised, because we know that Apple and Nike, we know what they stand for, regardless of what. Starbucks as well. Starbucks, they're clear on what they stand for, but not that clear as Apple and Nike. And the reason why is because throughout the years they've been very consistent with what they stand for. Okay. If we changed the logo, Microsoft and Apple, like we know what Apple stands for, and a lot of you commented previously that Apple. We don't know what Microsoft really stands for, and love Apple or hate Apple, we know what they stand for. A great example of how a company communicates what they stand for is Nike. They ran this campaign with Colin Kaepernick a couple of years ago when he kneeled during a game to protest against police brutality. So who else was a great fit for that? Nike. So they launched this campaign, believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything. And you might know, obviously, crazy people started burning their shoes. They started boycotting Nike. And the next day after they launched the campaign, their stock dropped by 3%. Now, the next day, their stock dropped by 3% because people were hating on them. They were boycotting them. Even Donald Trump tweeted, like, what was Nike thinking? And people are boycotting Nike and all. Like, really, they were going down. Another company, if it wasn't Nike, they'll say, oh, we are sorry. They would change. But not, Nike remained. They positioned themselves in the way they positioned, and they didn't change their opinion. A couple of days later, their online sales went by 25% up. Now, I'm not saying that because of this campaign, their sales went up, but what I'm saying, the campaign contributed the online sales to go up, because obviously, as we know, sales is not just you do one thing and it goes, like customer service, user experience, and all the other things are important. But what I loved about this campaign is that nobody else could have pulled this campaign if it was another company. Yet so many companies, they try to be Nike, they try to be Apple, rather than just looking in the mirror and saying, look, this is who we are. So a great example of standing for what you believe in. Now, a question that I get asked, okay, we all know Nike, we all know Apple. Yeah, Alex, they're great brands and blah, 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 but I don't have the budget, I don't have the talent. I mean, that this company is higher. How can a small company do this? Well, there are many small companies that do amazing job, and that's why I wrote my book, Not Another Pair of Shoes. I wrote the book because I wanted to help small companies that have passion for what they do stand up for what they believe in and communicate that, because there's so many companies that love what they do. They have passion, but they don't articulate their purpose. They don't communicate their purpose. They position themselves as the heroes, which is the number one mistake. You should never position yourself as a hero in your brand story. You're always the bridge. So in the book, I mentioned a couple of small companies, which I'll share with you today. And basically, the whole concept is, if you have a brand purpose, if you're interested in brand purpose, it means that you care about what you do. And the whole concept, the whole theme of the book, of the brand purpose, you care about what you do, and you show that. Because When people care, when companies care, we feel special. When a company says that they care but they don't show that, we don't really believe them, do we? It's like, yeah, you say you care. If we ask 100 companies today if they care about their customers, guess what? All of them, they will say they they care, but in reality, not so much. Actually, an interesting story I saw a couple of days ago, there was a gym, and they posted like happy birthday to this member, and they posted the video of this member saying how great the gym was. When you ask a testimonial, and I found it so hideous. Really, it's like, so you're saying happy birthday, like you're doing this action that, oh, we care about our members, but in reality, you took the video of this girl saying that, oh, this gym is amazing and we're a family here. It's like, you don't really care. And because I know the brands, like they don't really care. Like all they care is about the money of the members. That's it. But it's an example, like going back to caring. And one example that I remember is a couple of years ago in 2014, one of my exes, she gave me this gift when we started dating. And the gift was wrapped in such a way that it wasn't about the gift, but it was the wrapping, the caring, that she took the time to wrap this gift and to write the beautiful card. And the bag wasn't from the company that she bought the gift from, Mr. Porter, but it was different, and I felt special. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. It's 2022, what, 8 years later, I still remember how, that gift made me feel. We're not together anymore, we broke up years ago, but the point is, even after 8 years, I still remember how it made me feel. um a brand story basically, there's a difference between a story and a statement. And so many times we communicate, companies say statements, we're the best company, we this, we do this, but that's a statement. A story needs to have um different elements. So a statement is a fact, we offer, we sell. A statement is, we have 100 clients, we worked with 300 clients, we're all that's statements. That's statements. That it's not a story. A story really is, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A story, it has a villain, it has friction, and it has solution. Every single brand story that is successful, they need to have these four elements. Like, you need to have a problem, you need to have a villain, you need to have a friction, and you need to have a solution. That's the core of a good story. Watch any Hollywood movie, read any book that has stories, great stories, and you will notice there's four elements. And the reason why you need them is because statements, yeah, I've been working in the industry for the past 10 years. Okay, who cares? But I can start the story differently and say, you know what, 10 years ago I was fired from an advertising agency, and I had to pay rent, I didn't have any help, and I was really scared. So you can feel the difference. Like, yeah, I started the company 10 years ago, worked with so many clients. Okay, Alex, that's fine. But when you start the story, and you have to be authentic, you can't say make things up. You have to say, look, this is the problem that I had, this is the friction, this is the solution. It's really important. So if you get anything from today's talk, just take these four things. A story needs to have a problem, a villain, a friction, and a solution. Now, smaller companies. Amazing company is this kombucha company. They're a force for good. If you have a look at what they do, they communicate their purpose. They want to explore the magic of tea, which is a small company, but they do good. A great example is the Good Hotel. Basically, their all of their profits, 100% of their profits, go to a charity because they want to do good. I'm not suggesting that everybody should do that, but it's a great business module. A short story. It all started with a pair of shoes. I didn't get the title from the from Martin. Martin is the CEO of this company. But the short story is, he was on his gap year, so he went to Guatemala. He saw this little girl that she didn't have shoes, so he went and bought her a pair of Converse. And then from that time, he noticed that one small act can make a huge difference. And he was like, you know what? And then he started different schools, and then he started the hotel. The hotel actually is here in London, in East London. They built it in Amsterdam, and they brought it here. It's a beautiful hotel. They have a lot of creative elements in the hotel, and the whole story is like amazing. Another small company, a thank you company. So basically, their whole purpose is to end extreme poverty, and they have different products, from food products. They have shampoos. I was like, oh wow. So basically, you have food and shampoos. They don't, in my opinion, it's like, how can you have? But you know what? It doesn't matter what, like, the opinion of other people, in a way. Like, okay, I found it interesting, but I love the fact that they support. They have a purpose, and they're very clear, and you can see from their web, from their content, that they're doing an amazing job. Obviously, Patagonia, we all know what they stand for. They've been there for ages. They've communicated their purpose. They're a great example. Another brand is Oatly. I'm not sure if you saw the campaign that went viral a couple of years ago with their CEO at the forgot the American Games that they play every year. Anyway, it went viral because it was authentic, and they're very bold in what they communicate, and this is their website. Here's what we believe in, and they communicate. This is what we stand for, regardless of what I think or what they think. Whole Foods, our purpose to nourish people on the planet. Again, a great example of standing up for what you believe. Then we have Tesla, obviously, very well known, obviously CEO, a different strategy, but that's their purpose. We all know what they stand for. Another great example is Citizen M Hotels. I like their idea. I like their concept of hotels. Very creative. If you have an opportunity to find any of their hotels in Europe or America as well, um, try them out. Well, yeah, try, but just go in there and see how much passion they have for the brand. You can just feel, when someone cares, you can just see it. Now, some people might say, who gives a crap about the brand purpose? And somebody told me a couple of weeks ago, Alex, look, I just want toilet paper, man. I don't care about this brand purpose and the why and all this crap. I was like, okay. So I said, but there are some people that care. And I said, no, I don't believe there's a toilet paper that I just want the toilet paper, the cheapest one. I said, well, actually, there's a toilet paper. Who gives a crap? Premium. And they charge premium prices. And, 50% of their profits go to help build better toilets, and everything is plastic free. And if you look at a bit deeper, they have a strong purpose, and obviously you pay premium prices as well. So to answer that, who gives a crap? Some people give a crap, and our goal is to find those people that care about the same cause that we care about, and with our products we communicate that. And going beyond just toilet paper, they've donated, together with their customers, 5.3 million pounds. That's amazing. There's loads of data, like loads of data of why purpose driven brands are important. But if you just do a Google search, the most important data is 80% of people prefer to purchase from a purpose driven brand. That's 80% of people they prefer, because, and the reason why is because they feel they're contributing to the cause. Content marketing, really brief. When we have a brand purpose, it's so much easier to create content. And everybody says, create content. Content is the solution to everything. Yeah, more content, TikToks, Instagram, Twitter, everything, ask any marketer, the solution is not any. Most marketers will say the solution is content. But my question is, what kind of content? Should I post about cats and dogs and irrelevant stuff? No. And there's some very well-known people in the industry that say, yeah, content, just document and content. But I don't agree with that narrative, because you can't just post about cats and dogs. That's where brand purpose comes in handy, because if you have a brand purpose, guess what? You can talk about other topics. Let's say you care about animals, right? So you can create content based on that and your product, because you have a brand story that can justify that you talk about animals or whatever your cause is, right? Or plastic free. I don't know. It depends obviously on you. But I believe we can create content that helps people differentiate themselves and talk about different topics. Because if we talk about our product all the time, buy this coffee, buy my pair of shoes, buy, look at Instagram, social media, it's boring. It's like, how many times can you tell me to buy your pair of shoes, right? That's why content can help us, brand purpose can help us create content that doesn't speak about our products. When we do content, one of the most important things is create a creative brief. And there are many ways to create a creative brief. I won't go deep into it, but a second thing that I would highly recommend is learning to write a creative brief before any before any picture, before any video, before anything. Create a creative brief. One of the most important things, you need to have an insight, and an insight is something that the consumer, your potential customer has or thinks about, and then you create that insight into your content. So you have the insight, you have the problem, and you have the strategy. So the best way to find an insight and the consumer problem, not a business problem. Now, most businesses, they focus on, okay, we have this business problem, let's say we need sales, right? Well, that's a business problem. The consumer doesn't care about our business problems. The consumer cares about their problems. So we need to be communicating their problems. This is the problem that we have in the industry, I mean, in the consumer mind. And this is how we solve it. Not we have a business problem, we need more brand awareness. Nobody cares except marketeers and business owners, right? So think of business, think of consumer problems and then insights. And once you have that, you can create an amazing brief. And a creative brief will help us create better content. And the reason why we have so many articles, so much content out there that's just like, yeah, is because they're not done with a creative brief. I need to post a picture. Okay, post a picture. But once you have a creative brief, it makes you think, okay, what's the goal? What's the audience? What's the insight? Insights are huge. Like I was working on on a company with a company previously, and we part of the brand story development is we interview their customer. So I interview the customer, and I got a sentence from, I can't share the sentence because it's not live. I got a sentence that the customer said, and it was like, this can be used for a freaking campaign for a whole year. And I shared that sentence that the customer said, and that sentence will be relatable to other customers, because guess what, people find things relatable. People relate to things that are related to them. A great example, another great example of a brief, it's Beats headphones. You have the get who to buy. This is basically the framework that we use for writing creative briefs. I won't go into detail, but you see, get music lovers, not get people 18 to 25 or get people 30 to 40. Get music lovers who drained by they hate not having their headphones on their flights, to do what, to buy Beats headphones. How? By showing that Beats headphones can last up to 9 hours. If it was another company, they would communicate Beats headphones, 9 hours battery life. Oh, okay. Not that interesting, really. This is what they came up with. You can go from Italy to Tunisia, and don't worry about your batteries, because your headphones, sorry, because they last up to 9 hours. So this is where you go beyond products. You communicate your purpose, you communicate what you sell, obviously, but then you just go beyond your products, beyond your shoes, because that will help people connect emotionally. And the whole purpose, the whole goal of a brand is connecting with people on an emotional level. A great example is One Rebel in the UK. Great gym. They have an amazing content team behind them. Some of their content is they sell directly, which is fine, but they use creativity. Then there was one video that they honored mothers on Mother's Day, which was beautiful, because it wasn't about, oh, we are One Rebel, like the other gym was like, happy birthday, but tell how great we are. No, they honored all mothers around the world. They interviewed mothers that go to One Rebel, and it was beautiful because they didn't position themselves as we are the best. They thought about the end consumer, their guests. The most important thing, once you have your brand purpose, is become a media company. Create content like a media company, like BBC, like any media company, HubSpot. um why would you want to have a purpose? Is really simple. You create emotional connection. When you have emotional connection with people, people become more loyal, people buy from you, people recommend you, people speak about your products, your brand to other people, because they believe in the same thing that you believe, right? And end of the day, is why would you want to stand out? It's very simple. You want to stand out because you have a very strong message. You want to make an impact. You want to make a difference, and you want to make this world a better place because of your purpose. You don't just sell products, but you have more passion. You have more purpose. You communicate that, and you leave a legacy behind you, rather than just a company with profits. You leave a company with profits, and you leave a legacy, and you make a positive impact. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can all
Brilliant, wonderful. That was great, Alexander. All the way through creating a purpose for the brand, why the purpose is important for the brand. Really enjoyed the presentation. We have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
Nefeli is asking, how is Good Hotel able to function without revenue by sponsorships?
No, they when they donate, it doesn't mean they donate. They donate their profits. They have a margin, obviously their operating costs. So they
Mm,
have XYZ. We need, let's say, I don't know, 1 million per year to operate our hotel, salaries, the CEO salary, expenses. So they have that 1 million. Let's, I don't know. I'm just saying 1 million. But
mhm.
then all the profits they just donate. So the plus they're expanding as well. So they have, I assume, a percentage of whatever they make, they allocate that to expansion of the good hotel, not by
Right.
sponsorships.
Right. Okay. I mean, and the question as well, from my perspective, is does every company need to have a purpose? I mean, we're traditionally taught to think a company serves its shareholders and the shareholders want money. That's the purpose. Um, are you saying that's the wrong way of looking at it, or you're just saying this is an alternate way of looking at it?
Okay, in my view, yes, it's basically how a limited company started years ago in years ago. That's the purpose of a company. You start a company, you have shareholders, but it's 2022. People data shows that people don't just want companies to sell products. There's people want companies to get involved in problems that we have in society. Climate change, animals. We have so many racism. We have so many problems. So yes, it's correct. That should be a purpose, but it shouldn't be the core purpose, because a company that works and thinks, oh, we need to do profits, we need to be a profitable company and serve our shareholders, they won't really last that long, or they might last, but a purpose-driven company will outwork them. They'll outperform them, because they'll have, look at Nike, look at Apple. I mean, they're two different companies, but you can see what they stand for. And with the hotels example previously, we know what they stand for. And I think you need to make profits. It's very important. I don't want you to think, oh no, you should. Of course, you need to make. I want to make profits. Everybody should make profits. But what do you stand up for beyond profits, which helps our society to make a difference? Because as we can see in the current political state, governments don't really do much, and people can see that. So that's why people, they demand in a way that, especially the younger generations, they say, okay, you have two products. You have a toilet paper that is a without purpose, it's £5, and you have a toilet paper that charges £7, but it helps ABC. People are willing to spend more money, pay £2 extra, because they feel good about themselves. Oh, I'm contributing to this. But don't get me wrong, we shouldn't stand up for and say, okay, what a lot of companies say, well, LG, I forgot, they put the flag on LGBTQ on Starbucks and all the big brands.
Right.
They changed their logos, and I had a company that we worked and said, oh, we need to change our logo. And it's like, I said, why? I said, well, because everybody does it. Well, you don't really believe that. Like, there's a company called Oreo, the cookies.
Mhm.
They believe in that, and you can see that for the past 10 years they've been investing money, not just changing their logo color. They've been investing real money into educating people about the cause, about LGBTQ.
Mm.
So I hope I answered the question, Jason.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, and that's part of the point as well. I think kind of one of the things that people will struggle with is thinking, what is the purpose? And as you rightly said, you can't take a purpose that doesn't really apply to you. Is there any advice you would give to somebody who's looking for that purpose? I mean, kind of thinking, what purpose can I represent, or should we all
Mhm.
know it instinctively?
We all know our purpose, but we can't articulate it, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard to articulate, because we say, yeah, we all have a purpose. That's not the way that you find your purpose is you have really deep conversations with yourself. One of the exercises that like we do, when I do when I find when I working to find a purpose for a company, is I ask a question, like, what inspires you, what makes your heart sing in your industry.
Right.
And it not what, why do you love your industry, no, what makes your heart sing in the industry. Or a different question can be, why did you start in this industry? Why are you? Why you can sell shoes, you can sell phones. Like, we have so many opportunities. So it takes time. It can take a month, but articulating the purpose and focusing. The hardest thing I see that people find is focusing on the cause. Don't focus on ourselves. It's not about us. We are just a bridge. And I talk a lot about in the book about being the bridge. That's I made this mistake for years. I was positioning up my agency. We are we are gonna no. You're just the bridge. I'm helping. Like the hero is the customer. Like the hero should be always the customer. But so many companies, they position themselves as the bridge, and that comes down to purpose. This is what I want to change. I might not change it ever in my lifetime, but at least if I make 1% difference until I die, that's fine.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah. I mean, thinking about what you just said, I mean, if I look at why did I start in my industry, why did I start in brand SERPs in particular, and
Yeah,
the actual reason is I'm just obsessed by the idea of figuring out how to educate Google about who we are, what we do, and who our audience is.
yeah,
So my obsession is that, and my
yeah,
purpose, my personal purpose is that I can't see how I can apply that to my audience, because that's
yeah,
terribly selfish. I just want to know. I'm just curious. Is there
yeah.
any advice you can give them? This is free advice I'm asking you for.
Yeah, no, of course. But that's your purpose. Now you need to, like, why you can go deep. Why are you obsessed about this topic?
Oh, because I'm of curious nature. I want to understand. I started doing it because Google represented me as a cartoon blue dog, because that was what I did in my previous career. And I wanted it
Yeah.
to represent me as a professional digital marketer. So I set about
Okay.
educating Google about my current status opposed to my previous status. And that got me
Yeah.
curious about, once I started doing it, how can I do this on a larger scale? How can I do it for multiple things? How do we educate the child that is Google that's trying to understand the world? And
Yeah.
I'm really stuck with what you're saying. I agree with it. Is that this is all
Yeah.
totally self-centered, and I can't see how anything of that is going to help. I mean, other than the fact I share what I learn, it's not
Yeah.
going to help other people. My curiosity is my curiosity and doesn't give me a purpose in the business sense.
No, there is a problem. You said you mentioned the problem. You usually what happens is you find a problem in the industry like you did. So there's a problem, and then you said you started to be curious. So what I would suggest to you is just not marketed, package it in a way, choose the right word, colorful words. So when you create a brand purpose, you need to use colorful words. So
Mm,
you said you're curious, you had a problem, so that's your purpose, because you had a problem with Google and you said, no, I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to educate Google. So
mhm.
that's your purpose, because you had a problem. And usually a purpose that resonates is usually a problem that we have, and you had, like, you know, it's usually a problem. And you mentioned the problem. The most important thing is, what problem are you trying to solve? And this is the problem that you're trying to solve.
Brilliant. Oh, that's very good advice. Thank you very much.
And the one thing more, curiosity. You said curiosity. That's a huge thing. Like, you can add obviously that to your purpose, saying, okay, curiosity. We should be curious about things, business, life. So many businesses, they're not curious. Oh, this is how we've been doing it for the past 50 years. Right. But your purpose can be, you know what? I want to help businesses to be curious, not just about Google, but maybe something else. Like, why are you doing this? So now you're finding, oh, okay. And then when you wake up every morning, you're inspired, because you say, I want to help them be more curious, because this will add more passion, more life to their business. They might not buy from me, from you, but they'll be more curious. Google, marketing, HR, whatever. So you can implement that. That goes beyond just Jason and what you're selling. And
Oh,
then
brilliant.
they'll see the passion and why you started it as well. So, yeah,
No. Absolutely makes total sense. Thank you so much. That was
I thank you,
absolutely
Jason.
delightful. We've slightly overrun. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We had well over 130 people watching, which shows how interested people are in the idea of purposing or getting brand purpose out there. And while you were speaking, I bought your book. It will be delivered tomorrow.
Thank you. I'm buying your book as well, Jason.
Thank you so much, Alexander. That was absolutely
I
delightful.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you for the next session, which is, and I've got to quickly, Silvina Nunez talking about multilingual content.